Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Ellis Nordhoff, and today I'm back for the opposition view. I'm joined by Lee Judges from AFTV and Lee Judges TV. How are you doing, Lee?
I'm good, thank you very much, Ellis. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to it.
Yes, we got a big game to discuss for both teams. It's Everton versus Arsenal on Sunday at 4:30 p.m. Massive game for us, massive game for you guys. How are you feeling so far about your season? Obviously, only a few games in, but you've won three, drew one, still unbeaten.
Yeah, for 1-3, drawn one. A lot of teams would bite your hands off for that. I know that, but
We
when we
would.
look at the opposition, yeah. So looking at the opposition that we played so far, I you know I still feel we're 2 points shy. We should have beaten Fulham at home, but we didn't. But listen, on the back of that great Man United result, which seems like with this international break and everything, seems a long time ago now. But yes, we're not playing as well as what we was last season, but we're still picking up results, and we're going now into a massive, massive month of football. Starting at Everton, of course, which has never been a happy hunting ground for us over the last few years. As a smile comes on your face, um, and um, and some big games coming up, and so I'm not as confident going into these games as last season. But listen, going up to Everton last year, we was in good form, unbeaten for a while. So maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a good thing not to be too overconfident.
Well, yeah, last time we played you at Goodison, it was Sean Dyche's first game for Everton. And
That's correct.
thankfully, we beat you because we really needed it that day. And I think we really need it again, actually, because we're winless still, as you know. And,
Yeah,
it's a huge game for us. And now we're talking about last season. Why don't we mention it? But you guys had a fantastic season last year, only lost out to the title by Manchester City, who are a complete machine, aren't they? What are
yeah.
your expectations for this season going forward after you've had such a good season last year, but one that ended in such a disappointment?
Yeah, just much the same, really. Like, I'm not saying that Arsenal have got to win the title. I know there's a lot of people saying that we have, and we've got to win this and got to win that. It's never been that for me. It's about challenging, pushing, and seeing where it takes you. Like, so I expect us to be challenging this season. I really do. But I think with the Champions League coming up, because obviously after we play you, we've got our first Champions League game. So I don't. It's a little bit like last. I know it sounds silly. It was sort of we went into the unknown last season. Didn't really know what was going to go on and how it went. We're a little bit like that this season because we don't really know how it's going to go with all these games coming thick and fast and games where we was playing last season in the Europa League, which you could rest a few players for. We can't afford to do that this time, so it's going to be really interesting because obviously after we've got you, we've got Champions League, and then we've got Spurs, which is of course our rivals. So it's a massive, massive week. So last season was fantastic. If we can continue doing on that sort of path, then that's what that'd be nice. I'd like to think that we'll be Manchester City's main challengers again.
I think there's a strong chance that you will be. And like you say, the Champions League's a massive test of the squad's resolve because you've suddenly got to manage your squad a lot
Yeah,
better. Like you say, in the Europa League, you can rest a few players, but you've recruited really well in summer, I think, and spent a fair bit of money too. And I just want you to talk me through a few of those signings. Of course, Declan Rice, the big money one. And then you've got Jurriën Timber, who's sadly injured as well now. And
yeah.
then Kai Havertz, which is a one that's raised quite a few questions, but it'd be interesting to see what Arteta can get out of him. What are your thoughts on the signings so far?
Yeah, listen, I think that we've spent a lot of money on signs because obviously David Raya as well, who's like
Yeah,
back
true.
up to England's number one, I believe now in Aaron Ramsdale,
Really? Is that right?
So yeah, so some strange ones in there. If I'll be honest, let's address the first two, Timber and Declan Rice. Timber, unbelievable. Like when I see him in America, he was fantastic. Massive, massive blow for us to be losing him because not only is he a very, very good player, he can play in multiple positions across the back four. So even though he's only one player, he would have been like signing three players, if you know what I mean, because he can play right back, left back, and central defence. And it would have meant that we could have done a little bit of rotation in that back four or back three if you want. And I don't think it would have caused too many problems. So big big blow for us to lose him. Declan Rice, well, if you'd have said to me a year ago, 2 years ago that we're going to get somebody of the ilk of Declan Rice, I'd have laughed at you. I said it's not going to happen. But now we know not only we're in for him, we're managing to get these players, and that's a big thing. And you can just see with him, as he's played really well since he's come in. But he's got this the whole package of him. He's like got an aura about him. He's very good with when he speaks and his demeanour, everything like with the fans. So he's been fantastic for us, and for the first time since Thomas Partey come here, that we've lost Thomas Partey, and I wasn't disappointed or worried. Right. You know what I mean? Like I was having a meltdown when he was injured towards, I think, Man City game and a couple of games towards the end of the season. But when he was out, there was okay, he's out. You know what I mean? So that's how big that signing was, that we got someone like Declan Rice. Kai Havertz, definitely at this moment in time, the jury's out. I've got to say, I've seen flashes that he can be a good player, but I've seen flashes that he's maybe not being a very good player. So listen, Mikel's going to keep faith in him. I really expect him to be playing against you guys on Sunday. And of course, Raya, I think, is a strange one again, because I think without probably saying it, it puts pressure on Ramsdale, if I'll be honest, unnecessary pressure, could I say? I think we needed to improve. We needed a goalkeeper, because of all these games coming up. But I don't know if it's the right thing. Again, we'll have to wait and see on that one. But, exciting signings, I've got to say that, it does. I know, like the Declan Rice one was sort of more at the beginning of the transfer window, but it does make you excited for the season when someone like that comes in, like a record signing as well. But with that, you still want to get your results, and we have been doing so. Like to get someone like Declan Rice is an, especially when like Manchester City, I think, were looking at him. But it was obvious that Arsenal have been doing a lot of work behind the scenes, and that was a good little signing for us, I have to say.
I wouldn't call it a little signing at 100 million, but a good signing nonetheless. As for Kai Havertz, I can't be saying anything bad about him on this, because if I do that, he'll just score. So I'm not saying anything about Kai Havertz. And as for David Raya, I think it's an interesting one, because I've seen goalkeepers like Ben Foster's been talking on his podcast saying, is it always the best to actually have another goalkeeper who's at the level of your number one? Because sometimes that unnecessary pressure doesn't help a keeper, and sometimes they like to know that they're number one for confidence reasons. So that is a bit of a worry. And I'm sure with Aaron Ramsdale as well, he'll be quite worried about the England spot that he so desperately wants that he's just not going to get, I'm afraid.
Well, yeah, it's listen. When it comes to Rams, I'm a big fan of Rams. I think he's been fantastic for us over the last couple of seasons. Really proved a few people wrong and all that, and the battle that he's got with Pickford at the moment. I have stated, as much as I rate Ramsdale, Pickford's not really done anything to let England down.
Not at all.
Club form. You can look at statistics, and I see a statistic the other day. I think it might have even been today, that Ramsdale's kept 24 clean sheets, Pickford 4. We're different scales of the league at this moment in time. It's a different, it's a complete, Everton are struggling at the moment, as you well know. So he's going to be conceding more. So all that stat stuff and all that. Sometimes I just think, like, really. But when it comes to Pickford, he made some fantastic saves. Who did you play last game? I can't remember.
Sheffield United, the triple save at the end.
United made a couple of really good saves. So until he lets England down, I don't think you can really say, oh, it's a bit unfair. So as much as I'd love to see Ramsdale play and be England's number one at the moment, Southgate has given it to Pickford, and Pickford's kept the shirt, and it's his shirt to lose at this moment. So that's how I see it, So, but Ramsdale's pushing him. I'll give it, and that's all you can do.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about when a player's not done anything wrong for England and also is playing really well for his club, you can't really look at clean sheets when he plays for Everton versus Arsenal, of course. Like
Yeah.
when with Ramsdale, he's in a team which is succeeding, and it's very hard to judge goalkeepers compared to each other. But like you say, while Pickford's doing well for England, it'd be hard to oust him, really. And I'm hoping that he does well for us on Sunday at Goodison. And Goodison hasn't been a happy hunting ground for you, like you say, recently. Out of the last
No.
5 games, we've won 4 and we've drew 1, and you just simply haven't beat us at Goodison. So even though we're not doing that well now, are you still worried about the prospect of going to Goodison because perhaps we're a bit of a bogey team?
Well, yeah, do you know what? Liverpool's not been a very nice place for us over the last few years. You know what I mean? So, and it's strange because there was a time when I used to like going to Goodison because we always sort of picked up a result,
Yeah,
and when things were going well. But over the last few years, I think that the draws it was at a 0-0 if I remember rightly as well. Like
I
it's
think
not
so.
been a pleasant sort of place to go. I remember going up there. I can't think how long ago it was. I think we won 2. I think a Wobie score was the last time we won there. I think.
Oh, really?
And
I
then
think you beat us under Koeman as well, 5-2. Don't know if you remember that one.
yes, we did. Yes, Ozil had a very very good game that day, and uh, Sanchez I think played well if I remember rightly. So yeah, so cool. Do you know what? That is a long time ago. I remember the 5-2, like you know what I mean. Um, so. Blimey, it's been as long as that, like, yeah. So, yeah, you don't realise how long it is. Like, and the last couple have been tough for us. Last season's one was a bitter pill to take because obviously we was on a roll. Everton were really struggling. Never got going in that game. And do you know what? Calvin Lewin, um, caused us all sorts of problems that day. If you remember, he's only just come back into the bloody, and then I think he got injured the next game, and he ain't really played since. But he
Yeah.
held the ball up fantastically well, caused us all sorts of problems. And I actually said, they're going to score at one of these bloody corners in a minute, and you did. And I think that it did help that it was the manager's first game and all that. But what you got to do at Everton, and we haven't done it for the last couple of times, is silence your crowd. You know what I mean? I think when you
Yeah.
I'm not having a go. I love Everton. I've got a big soft spot for Everton, as you probably well know. But the crowd are really on sides early doors. But if you can get at them, get at Everton, they can turn very very quickly. We never done that in the last couple of games. Done that in the last couple of games. And once you start that kettle starts boiling with the fans and all that, and they're up for it, it's very very hard to simmer it down. So that's the first job we got to do is silence you lot, and then try and get get our game going. If I be honest, Sean Dyche is one of those sort of managers that, whether you like him or not, I don't know. But from an opposition sort of side, he's one the way Arsenal play and everything like that. He's the one that can get under our skin. He's the one that can stop things. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because
yeah. Disrupt the
he can,
flow a bit. That's kind of his style,
yeah,
isn't it?
he can do that, and he does it very very well. You know what I mean? It frustrates and whatever, but he's an experienced guy that uses that experience. And I think that Arteta has got to really, even when he was playing at Burnley, we struggled against Burnley on many occasions because of that same sort of thing.
Yeah.
So we've got, listen, I think it's going to be a tough game for us. And, without being silly, it's probably a silly statement, but I think Arsenal will either win really well or it'll be a really, really tight sort of a game. I think it goes one way or the other. Do you know what I mean? I don't think it's going to be.
An early goal decides it for me. I think if you get the early goal, then that really can just that quieten us down, like you say.
Yeah, I think if we score first, I think probably that'd be and score early. That will help. But yeah, the longer it goes on, then the more I'm going to worry. Say for half time, it's 0-0 or we're losing to you. Trust me, I'll be panicking at half time. So because it will be difficult to get back against Everton, like, you know. And I think I've watched the Everton games at home. You know what I mean? I know you've and got the results, but it's not all. It could either go either way. You know what I mean? I know you could get. I think you could get a lot more points than what you have at this moment in time. I don't think the performances have been as bad as what the results have, if I'll be honest.
Yeah, results haven't told the whole story this season.
Yeah,
We've had quite a few decent performances, and hopefully we can actually turn the good performances into results soon enough. Because the longer you go without the win, the more you start to worry. Then, and
yeah.
you said you've watched quite a bit of Everton recently. What kind of players are you looking at as potential threats for Arsenal, and where we could maybe get in?
Well, you know, like Iwobi was doing really well for you until he left, like, you know, I thought, you know, like I've always felt you've got a strong midfield. The midfield's a bit powerful. I think that we're struggling in that there. The new guy he's just signed, he scored against Doncaster, didn't he? Like, come on, like,
Beto, yeah,
yes, Beto. Now, if I would say something about Everton, I would say I think, yeah, defensively strong, midfield strong, a little bit toothless. But if you've got him fit, I don't know if Calvert-Lewin's going to be fit as well. Like, if he's fit as
potentially.
well, they're a couple of guys that worry me. Like, you know, because I think that you've got good aerial threats and things like that. And I you know, it's not one of our strongest. I'm not saying we're weak at that sort of thing, but it's not our strongest point. You know, if you want to come toe to toe with us playing football, then that's one of our strongest points. But I think counter attacking, like, you've done that really well last season. You counter attacked us really well, and then got into positions and then put in lots of crosses. So I think that could be something that you'd be doing there as well, like, you know. So Decore's been doing well for you the last few games, like getting in for it. He always causes us a few problems, like, you know. So yeah, like, you know, it'd be interesting. A couple of new signings you got as well. The guy from Leeds is a decent player.
Yeah, he might not be fit, Jack Harrison, but you might
Yeah,
just
I
get
think
away
he's.
with that one.
I think he's. But I say he's decent. He's a decent player. Like, you give him the right service, the right forwards, which you've got. He'll be a thing for it. Very surprised that he sold Iwobi, if I'll be honest, because I think, like, you know, he's always done fairly well for it. But I think probably for financial reasons, I don't know. But
Yeah, it had to
um,
be done contract wise. He had a year left on his deal, and
yeah,
he needed to be
yeah,
sold for that. Really, couldn't have
it's
let
a
him go on a
shame.
free, could we? You know.
No, no, unfortunately not. Like, you know, so I think that with Everton, I don't know if you agree with this, Jess, the individuals. I wouldn't say, oh, an individual stands out and really worries me, but they're as a team, you've got like powers that can go as a team. Like, that's how I look at it. Like, you know, so listen, I think Everton will be fine come the end of the season. I don't really. I know you're in the bottom three at the moment, but that will change once you get a couple of wins and start going. I'm pretty sure, like, you know. So, and I think that under Sean Dyche there is that sort of team ethic, and I think that's what will get you through in the season to come.
I do think players like Beto and Calvert-Lewin are the ones that are going to cause you
Yeah.
problems. When you mentioned about last year, Calvert-Lewin being so useful holding the ball up, I think that's what you're going to get from Beto a bit, but Beto's got a bit of pace as well. So I think
Yes.
obviously there's not a massive sample of games to judge him on so far, but I do think that having him there will provide that focal point for us to help us perhaps just be better in general going forward and have better patterns, because I think he knits everything together being in there. He isn't just a striker who stands up front and puts the ball in the net. Obviously, that's ideal, but also he does more than that, which is even better. So I think Beto will be quite a problem for you guys. But
Yeah.
obviously, looking at your team, there's some even bigger threats. I'm worried about the likes of Bukayo Saka. Gabriel Jesus always loves scoring against us, so I'm particularly worried about him. His movement's normally fantastic when he plays us. So
Yeah.
Jesus, Saka, is there anyone else you think we need to be worried about?
Well, you got to worry about Martinelli down the other side as well. Like, you know, if he's been on fire last couple of games, I think, you know, that's the big thing you said there, because we didn't have Jesus going to you last season. Like, you know what I mean, and
No.
I think that's the and I looked at us last season when And when we went 1-0 down, I'm looking, I think, well, who are we going to get on to turn it around? We never looked like turning it around. I think if Jesus is fit and available, whether he starts or not, don't know, because we've got Eddie, but there's that option, I think that Jesus last game against Man United, him coming on when the defence was tiring and then putting on the likes of Harry Maguire and all that helps us immensely. And if, for instance, I don't know, as I say, if he'll play or not. Like if it was me, I'd start him. But 70 minutes gone, you know what I mean, and it's you guys are starting to tire. To bring on someone like Jesus will be a good thing for us. So. Yeah, and I feel that with Everton, like I watched Everton a few, like the game, particularly the game against Doncaster. I know that was a massive game for you, even though it was a cup game and all that. Like if you go a goal down, even like it didn't look like you was going to get through. Now you got this Beto coming in. If you do go a goal down, like you did against Sheffield United, when we went 2-1 down, you still felt that you'd have enough to maybe score, like, do you know what I mean? But I think if you take him out of the equation, I don't know how you feel about that. Oh no, we're losing and we ain't going to come back again. Like, Everton have got to start scoring a few more goals, because I think they've got a strong base to go on from. With Pickford in goal and the central defenders you've got, and the way he structures it, like so. It'd be, they're the guys to worry about. Like Odegaard, obviously in midfield, will be
Brilliant
someone there.
player.
Like brilliant player, very very good player. And I think that I don't know if Everton come and attack us, or they. I don't think that you will. I think if I'd love Everton to come and attack us, like what
Yeah,
I mean, and
be quite naive, wouldn't it?
and leave gaps behind. So I think that we've got to try and pick things up, pick through you. And that's when Odegaard comes into to play, like and Jesus and those sort of guys. So that'd be very very interesting. Like I think it's a guard that Ellis. I think it's a game that I look back at last season. After 10, 15 minutes of last season's game, I thought we was in trouble. I said, "Oh, we're in trouble." I'll be there and I'll watch the first 10, 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, I think I'll be able to gauge how the game's going to go. Do you know what I mean? I think that's how it'll be, because you don't really know how Everton are going to set up, because they're the home side. Like, but if for instance, I can't see Sean Dyche going for it and getting picked off. So I think that it'd be a cagey affair first 20 minutes, and hopefully we get in front and then we can build from there. You'll obviously be saying, right, hopefully you don't, and then you can build on from there. So it'd be an interesting 15, 20 minutes.
I think we need that first goal as well, more than you guys probably, because we need it just for the fact that we need to score a goal. And also, I think in those last 20 minutes, that's where you've shown in the Manchester United game, you stuck in that game and just an incredible turnaround at the end. And I think what we noticed in the Sheffield United game was we played quite well in the second half, and then players started to tire because we've got quite a thin squad. So substitutions, we haven't got as many as everybody else has now. With 5 subs, we can't make 5 massively brilliant subs because we have had players injured and we have quite a small squad anyway. So I'm just hoping that we can be in some sort of position of control when it comes to those last 20 minutes, so they aren't as nervy as I'm expecting them to be, because I do think that if we're 1-0 up with 20 minutes to go and our players start to tire, and like you say, you can bring on the likes of Gabriel Jesus, then it's panic stations for me at that point.
Yeah, that's a great point and all that, and I think that you said something there which helps as well. I do think that Everton's fans, maybe a little bit nervous because they haven't won in the first 4 games and whatever, so we've got to keep that little bit of nervous in your game. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to beat anything, like playing Arsenal. We know what they can do. And then if we can frighten you straight away with an attack or something like that, just get the crowd
play on
nervous.
the nerves, play on the nerves of the crowd, the players.
Exactly that. Just play on the nerves. And that could benefit us, so because there is expectation a little bit more when you're at home, isn't there? The Everton fans, will be a little bit more expecting a win than say if they was away from home. So there's always that little bit of pressure when you're at home, and if we can just push that pressure, just tip you fans over the edge. That's what I'm hoping for anyway.
Well, we're still Everton at the end of the day, and we still have that expectation against the big clubs. Over time,
Oh,
we've beat up many a big club at Goodison, and the fans are the same. And yes, the team might not be quite as good as they previously were, but we still go into games like that really desperate for a win and feeling like on our day at Goodison, anything can happen because it is a stadium where magic seems to happen for us sometimes,
yeah,
and we
exactly
need
that.
that.
Exactly that, and it's always been one of those grounds for that. And from an outside looking in, Everton are a massive club, big fan base. Growing up, they was a fantastic side, and over the years have always been a very, very difficult team to play, particularly at Goodison. And there's something special about I know that you're going to the new stadium and you're looking forward to it. Is that next season you go or the season after?
It's likely to be the season after that, but it's still a date's not confirmed just yet.
Yeah, but it's one of those old school grounds that unfortunately, Ellison are not there so many now. Like
No,
the
there's
sort of
not.
old sort of grounds that are there. And listen, the excitement of going to a new ground, get that. We've had that with the Emirates and everything like. But there's nothing like that. The atmosphere at somewhere like Everton. I've been there night games, which have always been special occasions. And last season, look, it wasn't going well for you, but once you got that result, I remember walking out. The atmosphere was rocking in the
It was.
Goodison. So I don't really want to experience that too many more times at Goodison. Thank you very much.
Hopefully you
I,
do
I
on Sunday, mate.
oh well, this is it. So because it was meant to be on a Saturday, wasn't it? So they
Yeah.
changed that. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing because I was looking at that and thinking 5:30 under the light. I know they're all under the lights now, but you know what I mean. Like a little bit of an evening game may have been a little bit more of an advantage. I don't know. So 4:30. I know it's only an hour. I know it sounds silly. It's only an hour, but I think that makes a big difference as well. Like you know what I mean. So
Yeah, I get
we
what you
we
mean.
yeah. So we've just got to keep you quiet if we can, and I'm confident. Obviously, I'm not going to say that I'm not, but I'm confident knowing. But there's that thing in the back of my head that that what Everton can do and what Goodison Park is all about as well.
Go on then, give us your prediction then if you're confident. Let's put your neck on the lines. What's it going
I'll
to
put
be?
my neck on. I'm going to say I think it'll be a tight game and Arsenal will win it 2-0. That's what I've gone like. You know what I mean? I think was you know because Arsenal defensively are much better away from home. So yeah, I don't see it being an easy game. I think might get one early. That's what I'm hoping, and then it'll be like maybe last 10, 15 minutes killing you off. Like you know what I mean? That's how I envision it. But yeah, as I said, those first 20 minutes, I might change my mind.
I'm going to go with a massive 1-1 for the Blues. We need something. We need to just kind of keep the unbeaten run that we've started of one game on just to keep it
Yeah,
going. We
yeah.
need to come back from the international break and see it as a fresh start. And a point against Arsenal would be a brilliant result for us. I think that's most Blues would be happy with that. And I'm not expecting a win, but you really never know what can happen.
No, exactly that. That's what football's fascinating, isn't it? And like I know this sounds silly, but if you was to beat Arsenal, that could be the springboard to push you on and everything like that. That's what I'm pretty
Absolutely.
sure Sean Dyer should be saying something like that. Like this is the one that moves us on. And equally, Arteta's will be saying the same. Like like don't give him any encouragement to that as well. Like so yeah, like I'm looking forward to the game because I think there's a little bit of extra spice because the international break. Just after that win against Man United, realistically, Ellis, you want to play straight away again, like you know what I mean, like
Yeah, you
after
do.
that. And we've sort of had this, like 10-day break. There's still 4 or 5 days left of it, and he's got these internationals going on at the minute. So yeah, I think it's been a good break for you to restock and go with everything there. And for us, maybe it's not been quite so good, but when you're winning, you can go, right, okay, well, put them to bed, have a little breather, and go again, like, So two sides to it, and we'll just hopefully it'll be a good game as well.
Yeah, I think it should be a good battle. But that before we go, I've got to ask you one very important question. As
Yeah.
the end of the opposition view, we always have a very random question for you at the end. So if you could be at the
Okay.
dinner table with three former footballers, current footballers, celebrities, anything, who would they be?
Oh, three footballers. This go on Charlie Nicholas would definitely be one. I'd have to say that. Diego Maradona, if he was still alive, would have been another one, And one of my favourite players was a player called Hristo Stoichkov.
Oh yeah, fair
Played for Barcelona. He was a bit of a good player, but he could put it about a bit and everything like that. So I would like to get into his mind because he used to lose it a few times as well, but a great player as well for Bulgaria as well. So they would be the three. They would be the three.
Some cracking names there. Maradona, I'm
Yeah.
sure, would be interesting, wouldn't he?
Yeah, it would have been like, I will say I'm in the Maradona camp. People say how good Messi was and is, and I know that he is, but I'm telling you, with the protection that Messi and the Ronaldos get now, if Maradona got that, nothing's stopping him.
That's a big debate for another video, isn't it, Lee?
Yeah, it's a massive debate. It's a massive debate because he never had the protection that these guys had, nor the pitches and whatever. But he was a sensational player, unbelievable, So yeah, and he was a madman as well, I have to say, So
Certainly
it
was.
would be actual carnage this meal with them two, and me and Charlie Nicholas would be keeping it quite quiet, I think, really.
Yeah, I can imagine it could get quite feisty with you there as well, and Diego.
Yeah, if I start going, you know what I mean. So yeah, always like those players that play on the edge. I don't know if you do it, Ellis. Like when people go, who's your favourite? Like, I've got my favourite players, but like Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp, but like Patrick Vieira was always the one for me, because he played on the edge. You know what I mean? Those sort of players, and we've all had them in our teams that can go either way. But when on their game, they can play as well. Eric Cantona even though he played for Man United, was a big favourite of mine because he had that dark side. You know what I mean? I'm showing up my personality here, which I shouldn't really, but there you go.
It's something that Evertonians like as well, players who have just got that bit of edge to them. I think it's massive for Blues because we love it when a big tackle goes in at Goodison, and hopefully a big tackle goes in on Sunday, gets the crowd up and drives us to a big win. But that's all from our opposition view this week. Thanks so much for coming on, Lee. It's been brilliant.
Cheers, anytime. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, so where can everybody find you? I'm sure they know you already, but where can they find you?
Yeah, like Lee Judge's TV. Sometimes, the great man Kevin Campbell's on there, so
we love him.
Comes on, and obviously on AFTV and Twitter, Instagram is Lee Mark Judges.
Brilliant. Thanks very much for coming on. And that's all from us now. That's the Arsenal game on Sunday. Massive one for the Blues. Hopefully we can get something out of the game, or a positive performance and hopefully a result. It's a huge one, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, please do leave a like, drop us a comment. Let us know what you think, whether you think Everton can do the unthinkable and beat Arsenal at Goodison straight after the international break. But that's all for now. See you later.